Oh my goodness. Thank you, Mr. Monopoly. Yes. I'm playing well. No, no, no. We're just waiting for Aiden. He's gonna come online. We're gonna go over his chess game in a couple minutes. Yes, buddy. Let's get in there. Oh, it's a misstep by me. That's a huge blunder by me. Fuck. That was a bad one. Oh, speed's not the issue. I'm getting mated, cunt. Oh my goodness. Oh, such a dirty move, eh? Tough. Rook G2. Are you ready, Aiden? It's okay. Let's have a look. Hey, Aiden. Alrighty. Let's come online. See the invite. Alright. Send you the invite. Let me know when you get it. Good to go. What color were you? What's your opponent's name? First name? Okay. What's up, Ace? Okay. The fuck is going on? Good to go. You can make moves in a moment. Here. Yep. You're good to go. The Catalan. Mm-hmm. Sure. Yep. Mm-hmm. Already bad, right? That's already just not the essence of the opening. Sacrifice the pawn, you go for the initiative. You go for the breaks, right? That's what you were expecting, and yeah. Yeah. No, E3 is already flaccid. Flaccid move by your buddy Josh. After 95, what were you planning? Yeah, A4 looks normal or 95. Those are the two. Like, you just have to start releasing your bishop on G2 and putting pressure on the long diagonal. Yeah. Yep. 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 Reasonable. No. A3 and E3 are opposite. You're going for A4 and E4 because you have to put pressure on black before you can castle, put pressure on the diagonal. So, yeah, that's not going to do it. You, I mean, yeah, if White's going to play Catalan, they have to demonstrate a fight for compensation, and this isn't it. You know, you castle, you're a couple moves away from playing like Queen B6, C5 and just being up a clean pawn. Or Queen C7, E5, C5. Yeah, yeah. So this is a good opening for you. Yeah, because you're not under pressure. I mean, C6 is defended, and there's no way for White to add a third defender. So maybe he wants to go Knight C3 to hit this, but you're in time to play A6. So, yeah, yeah. Very solid. Very solid. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you took it. Pawn up. I mean, ideally, you want to get to play C5. That way, your bishop opens up because Knight D5. Yeah, you're moving the same piece, and White can take, and your bishop on b7 is kind of stuck behind the pawn. You're still doing fine, like you're doing well. But if I can get in c5, that would be perfect for me. So I would be looking at playing c5. I don't know if that's rook a7 to play c5. I don't know if that's queen b6, queen c7, queen c8. But c5 would be perfect if you can pull it off, because it's going to trade off white's best piece and get rid of your, pressured pawn. So I'd be definitely trying to play that. Does that make sense though? Yeah, queen c8, queen b6. Because then you can deal with this and not have to worry about the pin at all anymore. Even knight e4, your bishop, you're still even if a move like knight d5 is played. I don't know if Josh went knight e4, but the point is, like, if you can't play c5, then you're a bit cramped, even though you're up a pawn. This is the freeing move in your position. Yeah. Just queen c7, c5 then. How are they going to stop it? c5 no matter what, next move. Knight e4, c5. I don't know. Yeah. Just... Oh, yeah. 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 So knight d5 is definitely an inaccuracy. Especially, I think white should be going knight e4. I'm not sure what he played, but white should avoid trades to keep the opening complicated and the fight for the compensation, Probably would go knight e4 just because then you're moving a new piece and trying to, maybe ideally play bishop d2 here and really fight for that. Because there could be some situations like this where white's up down a pawn here, but I see a couple moves, e4 coming, maybe bishop f4, and the bishop on b7 is really silly. So getting the knight here could be pretty valuable, but knight d3 makes some sense too. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, you still have to worry about that a little bit, but whoa. Yeah. It's a creative move, but I mean, it's pinned at the end of the day. No, that move makes some sense. It makes some sense. Fighting over the c5 square. Yeah. This is why you really need to just try to play c5 as soon as you can. Even if you give back your pawn, if all your pieces open up, that gives you a comfortable position, as opposed to being up a pawn but having these issues to solve. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Then they can just put a knight on c5. Yeah. Looks great. Yeah. Central, you still have a way to develop your pieces, and yeah. Knight a4 is you're fighting for the c5 pawn, but if it doesn't work out, your knight on a4 looks a bit silly. Yeah. I like that. I like that. Yeah, yeah. No, that's a good centralized square for the knight, and yeah, that's it's not going away. Queen c7 is a great move. Get your queen off the back rank, and you're not afraid of this exchange. It's one of the problems with White's position is you still have to prove you have compensation for the pawn, and any exchange kind of helps Black out. Mm-hmm. Reasonable. You might maybe want to fight for the a file, so just keep the options open. A trade on a, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yep. Hmm. No, I mean the bishop's silly on a3 and your knight on c4 is not in any pressure. So this is where I expect a good mood out of you. Your opponent plays bishop a3. You have time now. There's no pressure. How do you consolidate your development or actually start to put a bit of pressure on? The pressure is if you keep trading, you're gonna have a winning endgame. Pawn up is a pawn up, so yeah. Did you think maybe just doubling if you didn't see anything better? I mean, this is a decent idea being proposed. d5, bishop c8, bishop b6, kind of like full optimization, but rook d7 is easy to play, safe, and it's the only open file. Okay. Looks good to me. Looks good to me. Well, the point of a5 is you have a 3-on-2 on the queen side, so ideally if you go a5, you're actually going to try to make a pass pawn yourself. And this is a different diagonal for your bishop because you don't have anything going on here, but something like this, you have the connected pass pawns. Yeah. a5 makes a lot of sense. It's not the only move, but it makes a lot of sense because you can put your bishop on a6. It's not doing anything on b7. Like this would be perfect. Let's say here, I mean, whether you want to take, go b4, protected pass pawn, then you put your bishop outside of the pawn chain, and then you're just completely winning. Protected pass pawn would be worth a lot. Yeah. So a5 looks good. Yeah. Yeah, for me, this is a bad piece. Bishop on e7 puts pressure here. Your rooks are putting pressure on the d file. When you go a5, you have potential to overload this because everything else is a bit loose. So a5 is... Your bishop on b7 is a bad piece. We're looking to improve that. Yeah. But it's not a bad move. A5, Aiden. Holy smokes. No, in the game, queen c2, a5. Okay. It's okay. It's okay. H... King h8. Why are you moving your king if you're... Why don't you play h6? What's the purpose of king h8 over making a escape square and keeping your king a bit closer to the center? Yeah, okay, that's... Yeah. h6, man, h6, yeah. Totally reasonable. Mm-hmm. Panicking, but yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. It's not the prettiest, only because of this bishop. Everything else would make a lot of sense. Trade when you're up a pawn. But I'm just a little... Yeah, if your bishop wasn't bad, it would be a bit easier. This is still a good position. Just... I was even curious what happens in these positions. I know this is hanging. But there's just a lot of like random stuff to calculate here that I wasn't entirely sure about. Because it makes sense. If you trade away the queens, there's a pin on the file, and you're up a pawn up. Like you're... Yeah. The thing that I would want to avoid, it's not available here because of your pin. Something like this. It's not available because of the pin, just where like you're stuck behind your pawn, like for the rest of the game. That's not going to happen, but just something to watch out for. But yeah, queen a5 is probably puts a bit of pressure on white because who's going to trade queens in this position? Yeah. Well, what's nice about doing the trade now, okay, I mean, this is fine too, is it's a pretty long-term pin. Like, how do you get out of this? Probably have to go bishop here, and then you can move the rook. e5, move the rook. It's still a game. It's still a game, to be fair. You know, something like this. This this piece is still very frustrating. So I get it. I get why you didn't do it right away. Until you figure out what to do with this, it makes the job a little harder. And white can fight on a little bit. So a takes b5, a takes b5. There we go. Yeah, if I'm playing white here, I mean, you haven't made too much progress in the last few moves, but you're still up a pawn. White needs to probably redeploy the pieces, either fight for the a file, unpin, and even though it looks funny, some position like this, you're up a pawn, but your pieces are kind of silly here. You know, just some position like this. I'm just going to play some moves. And white is down a pawn, but this is a really big issue long term. And the weak dark squares. So it's not entirely like so comfortable. So even trading is an option for white. Not natural, but you have a passed pawn, but it's very hard to push on its own. So, yeah. So, like, I really think you were a bit relaxed with your bishop. I'm trying my hardest to get my bishop on e6 if I'm playing black. Trying my hardest. I might even make a move like this, even though I'm a couple moves away. Here, I'm 3 moves away. If I can get my bishop on e6, then I'm happy. Happier. I don't know. But it's a hard move to play. It's just, we have to realize that this bishop is not going to be good on this diagonal. This isn't a case where it could be. Unless we win the c5 pawn, it's just not possible, right? It's not like, oh, I'll wait because I get to play c5 at some point. In this case, it's just not happening because black's blocked by the pawn on c5. So some realization about the bishop needing some better diagonal at some point. Okay. No, it doesn't. It doesn't look silly. It just depends if you can deal with bishop f3. It's not silly at all. Yeah. Yeah. You wanted to see what he would play? Knowing that this might be a case. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's kind of smart. You like the square. If he attacks your rook, you move it. If he doesn't, you're happy to put your rook on that square, where it's putting a bit more pressure on the c5 pawn, but still putting, yeah, pressure on the d file. Okay. And, you know, you're still teasing white to play a move like this, where then you get a nice cushion on d4. Yeah, yeah. Because after here, you probably have to move back, but it's okay to find out that information. I get it. You went knight b4? Okay. Thanks, Jason New York, for the sub, by the way. Uh-oh. That's a blunder. You can't go into the endgame. Yeah. It's tempting for white to win back a pawn because you're down 2 pawns, but something looks wrong here with the diagonal opening up. So let's say this was play. This is what I would do as white. I would play something like this. Because the pieces are temporarily stuck. I would try to just... The knight's blocking temporarily. I'd try to get on the d-file somehow, you know. Get my queen here and try to trap the bishop or put my rook on d7. But taking on c4, you give back... I mean, white wins back a pawn, but you're going to be up a clean pawn, so that's pretty good. It solves your issues because your bishop is going to open up now. So you should take with a rook just to like make sure they trade. That's okay. No, b takes isn't bad. It's just like, well, if they don't trade, then your pawns are really clean. So if you're okay with the trade, then maybe taking with a rook is more forceful than something like pawn takes and I move the queen out of the way. If that, yeah. Mm-hmm. You didn't want to trade queens after taking on c4 and going queen d1, queen f1. Was that the issue? You weren't totally sure. No, that's reasonable. Queen d2 is probably the key move here because then you get to play c5 and you open this up entirely. I mean, I don't know where this knight goes. Maybe there's a square for it, but it's kind of funny that after queen d2 is maybe not so easy to find, but trading queens is good, but it might not be winning, so I get why you're concerned. But like, let's say this, you know, and then c5 and it's game over. Yeah. Game over. So this would have been forceful, but if you don't see it, it makes sense not to do it. Keep the rook on, you're still preparing to like open up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cheeky. Yeah. No, it is tricky because of queen c3, then you have c5. Maybe that was your trick. So, you know, no matter what, you might be going c5 next move. Yeah. Okay. That takes away some threats. That's good. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Well, that definitely looks like it falls for something. Just depends which move you played. Yeah, I thought you might go queen e1. I thought you might go here. Trying to set this up. Maybe it doesn't work. Because after queen f1, takes, check. King here. Bishop a6. If king here, rook b6. Probably what you did is very effective as well. Because check, it's going to be similar. Probably very similar. Yeah, okay. Queen a1 makes sense. I approve. You play king g2? Okay, you took. Yep. So this is worse because of rook b1. Got it. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I think the position's losing though, right? Did you see that it was losing? That here you have this move? Did you see that? And then there's no way to stop the triple stack? Okay. I mean, it's a natural move to add to the pin. The king's on g2, yeah. Yeah. Okay. And that's the game? Okay. Oh, he gave you a chance to checkmate. Oh, got you. Yeah. Got it. Okay. Pretty good. You had a good opening for black. Yeah. Eventually, and you were always better there. It's just yeah. If you have a way to do it earlier, I mean, it's just gonna save you some troubles. Because it was a bad bishop. When you have a pawn on c6 and it's blocked here, like that's worse than a bad bishop because it wasn't even easy to fix. The opening was a success. I mean, white was just a little too timid. E3 and A3 are way too timid in the opening. Yeah. I mean, the game kind of played itself a little bit, you probably felt, right? It's not like you really felt you played really good in the sense that you weren't forced to play really good moves. Like you weren't under pressure. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like it was in that way, sometimes it just feels a bit more comfortable than a normal game, even if you don't feel like you, yeah. The moves weren't that ended up being played were not very hard conceptually. You know, doubling the rooks, putting your bishop on f6. You liked trading queens. So rook d5 I liked. You know, just grab a bit of space, improve on the diagonal on the file, but it's just if you can get in c5 to open up your bishop, I mean, you just want to improve your bishop. There might be some no boon variation similar, but like it's the goal is just to open up the bishop ASAP. Yeah, queen c8 and c5, very simple. Queen c7, there's no bishop f4, which helps, and c5. And the problem is if white puts pressure here, a4 is a way to discourage c5. The problem in this position as well, you get to play b4 hitting the knight, and whenever the knight moves, you get an a5, so that means you have a protected pass pawn, which is a lot to give up. And again, it's pretty common to get this structure, so your bishop, even if it's blocked here, has this diagonal to operate on. But yeah, this would be like a dream. you know, just up a clean pawn. Development's going to come in. Just, and you don't have issues with your pieces. Yeah, your light squares look good when you can trade off their light squared bishop. Yeah. Yeah, they're juicy light squares. Yeah, it was a pretty, yeah. You're happy to get back on the board there. White's opening was kind of the downfall because just playing down a pawn and trade started happening. It makes it tough. Yeah. You tricked them with the lines by not playing that f6 right away, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Hey, it's good. No. You try to change the move order. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good thing to experiment with. As long as you still don't trick yourself by changing the move order. As long as you still understand the ideas and know where the pieces go, like you don't like trick yourself, then yeah, it might be a way to play against some opponents that you know are familiar with your game and your chess. Yeah. Yeah. And here I was saying like, yeah, like calculation wise, a5, just something to consider because a5 bishop a6 is actually really good. Some position like this might have happened, and it's kind of like, well, can they play c6? Yeah, but their pieces are all disconnected from that pawn, and you having protected passers is good. But it's a nice variation, improving the bishop or trying to secure a protected pass pawn eventually. I think here we're threatening to just take on a4, and then this is loose. So. Yeah, not as much to analyze in this game, in a way, right? But just a couple of takeaways of how to improve your bishop and whatnot. Otherwise, thought it was pretty smooth. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Rook takes. Yeah. But pawn takes is still winning. Just depends how you play. It's just a problem. Your bishop is going to be so good that these endgames are terrible for white. Once your bishop opens up, that diagonal is... As long as the queens are on the board, that's going to be so hard to deal with, even if white plays well. Yeah. Queen d2 is very professional. If you found this move, I'd be like, that is an excellent move. It's what I was looking at, but it's very professional. I think you like to go for mate. Queen f3? Well, queen d2, the knight doesn't have any good squares. Knight d3, you have bishop a6. Queen here, you have c5, and you still can't move well. Like, look at the squares here. And your queen and bishop can just line up. The knight is a very loose piece here. It's an open position, and your bishop is going to open up. Right, even if queen c4, c5. Get a better version than the game. Yeah, you'd have to go knight a6. It's just like if somebody's dealing with this in a game, they're definitely not happy about the you know, your pawn is free, your bishop is free, and the knight is offside. So now you might be threatening this and here. But yeah, this knight is terrible here, right? I mean, this is not. This is just a sad piece. Right? Yeah. But what about queen f3? You like to go for checkmate. How does white stop this? No, you can't. Nope. Nope. So it's tough. It's all about the c5 move. And then you put the queen here and it's game over. Mm-hmm. No, so yeah, you can think about it, right? When someone fianchettos, white fianchettoed here, if they lose their bishop and your bishop is left, I mean, you're going to have a stronger diagonal than normal. And then you're going to want to keep the queens on the board because your queen and bishop can generate these long threats. So it's very, very bad. It's losing for white. More than it normally would be for being down a pawn because white's king is weak and they're down a pawn. And that diagonal is worth everything. The knight's also awkward here because all of its potential squares are light squares, right? So it's just playing against the strong bishop since you're going to get b5 in. c5 in, yeah. No, white couldn't trade here. Unfortunately, the light squares are too much. Had to play something like this, which isn't so silly. That's why I said maybe queen d3. Try to play queen here and just, you're down 2 pawns. It doesn't feel like you're doing well, but it's better than the game. Because your pieces are still kind of stumbling on each other. Let's just say knight e5. You get positions like this where it's like, what's going on? I mean, black's up 2 pawns, but the pieces are stuck. So I wouldn't have, yeah, if whites keep the pieces on, like, they keep the pieces on like this with rook d1. It's a little bit of work to be done because it's going to take you some time to unravel. And your rook can't get back to d5. So I'll just give an example. Queen a5, even queen c3. It's like, I would love to be able to trade queens, but this move is strong. And if it's, look at how uncoordinated black's pieces are. Your knight can't move. I don't know where the rook can go. I don't see any good squares. Rook d7, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, like, is white putting pressure on black all of a sudden because of this move? Like bishop c8 to stop this? Pieces are a bit awkward. Yep. So this is, yeah. If we were given a couple moves to move the rook out of the way and play c5, sure, but that's not available here. So white could have actually put up some more resistance. It would have been difficult there with rook d1. But it's a bit hard to understand that when you're down 2 pawns, it's better than being down 1 pawn. I mean, that's not very intuitive. It just happens to be that your pieces are, temporarily speaking, not coordinated whatsoever. Even this queen move right here. It's like, right, like queen c3. I could be like, hey, find a good move for black for me right here. It wouldn't be that easy. There's decent moves, but can't move the knight, can't move the rook. I mean, if I move my bishop around, I don't know. If I try to free it up, oops, it's trapped. Rook is looking a little funny on c5, right? So, yeah. But yeah, that didn't happen, but it would have still been tricky. But like, you're gonna get experience here, you know, playing this opening. Sometimes black chooses to give back all the material to get an easy to play position. Sometimes black holds on, plays a tough position, but you're up a pawn. Sometimes you're up 2 pawns. It's experience and tolerance with the positions. Usually the more pawns you're up, the uglier or more problems you have to solve. But the upside is you get an endgame, then you're doing great. White's job is to make sure you don't get into an endgame. Make it as hard as possible for you to develop. But yeah. Yeah. Good game. Good game. How long are you away in Perth for? Oh, wow. It's a 4-hour flight, right? Mm-hmm. Just going there to work on a plane and coming back. Mm-hmm. Is this for is this for a new airplane or airplane being like commissioned in? Okay. Okay. He's in Australia, Mr. Monopoly, so it's not his fault. Yeah. He's not in the US. Um, so on the plane ride, perfect time to study chess if you're not sleeping. Get those books out, and work the brain. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Plane, yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. G Getting your 10 and yeah, redneck. Yeah. You got what? You got tan. You did get tanned. Yeah. Okay. It's all good. And you play again on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Got it. Yep. Yeah, got some time to work on your white openings as well before next week. You're gonna see lots of Sicilians. You're 3 out of 4 now? Good stuff. Good stuff. No, it was a decent game, and neon pipe. This is what you look like without glasses? Who? Which guy? I don't wear glasses. Maybe I should. Are you talking about Amon? Probably. He started wearing them, and even though I should. Proper. They're just uncomfortable. I could prefer contacts if I have to wear. Aiden, when are we doing AFL? You're a bit behind there on the league. I don't know if we're able to do a proper fantasy league. Okay. Well, no pressure. Well, the bodies would show up if they knew it was happening. Yeah. It's more about, yeah. I don't use this Fox Aussie thing. Otherwise, I could host it, but we don't have Aussie rules in our fantasy apps. So. Hmm. 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 Yep. Yeah, we'll see who we can get. AFL season, chess season for you. It's good. It's good. We'll check in again next week for your next game. But yeah, this was a better opening and just a couple things to look at. So, yeah. No problem. Thanks for your patience. It's a busy house. I'm going to crash. I've been going to bed at 8 a.m. It's 3 a.m. So I'm going to actually try to go to bed early because I need to fix my schedule in life. So I'll call it early tonight. But yeah, GG's to you and Josh. Yeah. You didn't make a quick draw, so that's always progress. Yeah. Fighting chess. All right. I will catch you soon. See ya. Yeah. I'm going to crash, and maybe if I sleep well, I'll do Arena Kings tomorrow. So we'll see. Even if I don't, we'll have a stream with Jake later on. Yeah. But I will crash. See you, Lander. Tineric. Oh, you're up late. Polar Bear was lurking. That's good to see. Does this work? Wait a sec. Raid. Good night, Morrow. Gonna raid Zele streaming some Hearthstone. He was in the chat earlier. See what he's up to. See you guys tomorrow. Should be a stream on. Have a good one.